going on, Facebook? How we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the live show with Dr. Kojo. Hey, tell me what you see. Gotta do my little dance. Gotta do my little dance. How are y'all doing today? What's up? What's up? Can everybody hear me good? Are we good to go? Make sure we got the notifications. Hey, yo, what's up? What's up? Zen, what's going on? When they beneficial. Put the music back on. What's up? What's up? Dalton, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hey, from Canada. I'm turning up. We have a great topic that we're talking about tonight. And I want to start off by getting you all's location. Like I said, my name is Kojo. I'm checking in live from Los Angeles, California, and I want to see where you all are checking in from. South Carolina. Do the dance. I appreciate you. I got some videos. I'm gonna drop later on today. I got the dance featured in there. Tell me what you see. Minnesota in the house. Orlando, Florida in the house. Ohio. Yay, another live video. Tiffany, we come to you Monday through Thursday. Like clockwork. Atlanta, Georgia in the house. Shout out to my Atlanta people. Kentucky. Wisconsin. Okay. Baltimore. And we're going to talk about ADHD today. I see you all commenting about that. We'll definitely get into it. We're going to get into it. Georgia, Michigan, Canton, Ohio, Palm Beach, Buffalo, New York. Okay, Buffalo. It's funny that you mentioned Buffalo because I have. I'm going to make a couple of references during this live, and I'm going to be referring to things that pertain to people in Buffalo. But I want to get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're talking about ADHD today and failure and rejection and things of that nature. I think it's very important to talk about it because sometimes people feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Hopeless. I like that word, hopeless. There's some type of hopelessness that comes with, ADHD specifically. And this could be for any mental health condition, right? Or from depression, anxiety, mood disorders, or even just stress, right? We can feel hopeless a lot of times. So I want to make sure that I talk about this topic, and I want to really dive into it. And I want to talk about failure, because we all go through failure from time to time. We're going to fail at a lot of things. I fail every day. I'll put out certain videos and they don't do well, they suck, or I might try business ventures here and there and they don't, not all of them will work, but the few that do work, right? The few business ventures that work, right, do well. The few videos that I make, help to inspire millions of people around the globe. So I think it's important to keep things in perspective if we can. But not all of us take failure, the same way, and especially with ADHD and managing your emotions. I mean, the same could be you can say the same for borderline personality disorder. I have a lot of, people here who ask me about borderline personality. When it comes to failure, with mental health in general, it can be tough to take that L, right? You take your L and then you got to bounce back, so I've become fascinated with how people bounce back. How do you respond to failure, right? And when it happens over and over and over and over again, how do you respond to that, And I'm looking in the chat, people are saying sometimes they might feel helpless and misunderstood. Sometimes people feel that way, and that's the goal of me. I don't know, I'm clapping I'm clapping my hands to make my point, but that's the goal of me posting this content online, to let people know that there is hope. So once you feel hopeful, if there's no reason to go get help, then you're like, oh, whatever, I might as well just stay here, right? And not go find a professional in my area. But once people know that, okay, there's somebody out there who cares and wants to help me out, I'm going to look into professional help. I'm going to look into this, that, and the third, right? So you want people to stay hopeful and let them know that, you're going to fail. It's inevitable. But how do you bounce back after that failure, right? So we talk a little bit about ADHD, and I'm going to get to you all's questions in a second, but let me land here. We talk about ADHD and we talk about the emotional dysregulation that comes with it, right? Let's call it the emotional up and down, and then we talk about the rejection sensitive dysphoria, where it's a little difficult to be told things that you don't like hearing, right? Or the criticism, or being hurt. That's something that I struggled with a lot growing up, right? And I didn't know that. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 25, right? So I was just kind of like living through life, and living my life, and being hurt at certain things or certain people or certain situations, right? So whenever I would fail, it left like a really bad taste in my mouth, right? So I take that and I parallel it with where I'm like either talking to a friend, or maybe I've had a patient who's struggling with failure over and over, and they're struggling with their own mental health issues. And I try to make that connection. I try to let them know, hey, yeah, you might fail, but it doesn't represent you. And you can actually fail over and over and over and take the lesson out of it, and you can still be a success. You can still be a success. I'm looking at the comments here. Some of them are making me laugh, but I want to stay. I want to stay on topic. So it says, "What about when you get a crush on your counselor?" Um, okay, we're going to talk about transference and counter transference, and these things a little later. But that's funny. That's funny. A crush on your counselor or your therapist. But to stay on topic, the things that I've learned in my life combined with what I've learned, by being a professional, those two things are what I use. I would use those to help out my patients, and I use those tools to help you all out. And my challenge is figuring out how to make the content relatable for you all. So I gotta get creative, right? But trying to break the stigma with mental health and trying to give people a safe space to fail is important, because the failure doesn't represent who you are, right? You may have failed a certain thing. Doesn't mean you're dumb, right? Maybe you just had a lot going on at home, or maybe your mental health wasn't, all the way like, intact, and maybe things happened, right? And you need some time to kind of like chill back and, get your affairs in order, and then we're gonna try it again. But somebody mentioned, Katie, I appreciate you. It's hard for me when I'm looking at the comments to see all these great comments of people saying things about me. I really appreciate that, Katie. I really appreciate that. But somebody in the chat at the beginning of the stream mentioned that they were from Buffalo, or they were checking the line from Buffalo, New York. So they'll probably get this reference, or if you're a football fan, you'll get this reference, right? So I, right now I'm living in LA, and I'm doing a lot of cool things, and a lot of great things are happening for me. But I don't want people to think that life is perfect, because I'm working every day with companies to try and push things, right? I'm trying to work on mental health deals and collaborations, and I fail at the majority of these things, right? But I still feel like I'm a success. So as I'm taking all these L's in my personal life, I've become consumed with the concept of failure. And now my thing is, my little experiment to myself is, how do people bounce back after failure, especially when you fail in front of people, right? And for a lot of people, it's hard to go out there and do things, right? Especially if you're somebody like, maybe you're like me, right? Growing up with ADHD, and your confidence wasn't all the way there. So you fail at one thing, you're done, right? You just shut down, because you're like, okay, I failed, and I don't want to try it again, because embarrassment hurts, right? Because failing is one thing, but failing in front of somebody, maybe your mom, your dad, somebody that you have a crush on, those things can like internally just kind of like depress you. So I've been looking at failure with my son is dealing with this, and I'm making him watch you. Chelsea, yes, tell your son to watch the stream. Miss Horan, or Horan, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Let your son watch the stream. Tell him to grab a chair and come and sit right next to you, and let's watch the stream. But when it comes to failure, right, I've been doing my own little Kojo case studies, and I've been looking at people who have failed in the public eye, and how they bounced back. And I asked myself, at the end of the day, are they a failure, or are they a true success, right? So I was talking about Buffalo, New York, at the beginning of the stream, right? And I have my new my new hyper focus, fixation. My new interest right now is examining the Buffalo Bills in the early 90s, right? Now, in my free time, I don't have a lot of free time, but in my free time, I'll go back and watch the old YouTube clips of the Buffalo Bills, because I cannot understand how they got to 4 straight Super Bowls. They got to 4 straight Super Bowls. That's hard to do. I don't think that's ever been done. They got to 4 straight Super Bowls, and they lost every single one of them. They lost every single one of them. And I'm like, how in the world do you like? And like I asked myself, and if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm not trying to talk down on your team or anything like that, because I'm actually inspired by what they've done. But I look at them and I'm like, the chances of getting to 4 Super Bowls in a row and not winning at least one, I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of imagination, but I would imagine that that's kind of low. You should at least win one, but they lost all four. They lost all four, and I'll go back and look at interviews, and I'm like, and Beth said that's when she fell in love with the Buffalo Bills. So Beth, you get me on this, right? You all made 4 straight Super Bowls and you lost all four, and I want to zone in on the very first Super Bowl, right? And I went back and I watched, some highlights, of when they play the Giants, they play the Cowboys. I'm not a Bills fan, so I don't, I don't know every single Super Bowl, but the very first one, and Stephanie, yes, the lives are saved on my page. The very first Super Bowl that the Buffalo Bills played in was, if you go back and look at all the ones that they lost, statistically, that was the best chance that they had to win a Super Bowl, right? You can go back and watch the clips on YouTube. I really want you all to watch it. And I don't understand how, I'm not sure if I can bring clips onto like the live for y'all, because there's a lot of issues with copyright and things like that. So I don't know if I can bring clips on here for you all. But the very first Super Bowl that they lost, they have to make a field goal. It's a 47-yard field goal, right? And the kicker's name is Scott Norwood. If he kicks this field goal through the uprights, the whole city of Buffalo, including people like Beth here, will be screaming and they'll be super happy, right? If he misses this field goal, it's going to change his life forever, because people are going to think of his name and say, oh, that's the guy who missed the field goal, right? So, as we know what happened. He missed the field goal. He missed a 47-yard field goal. I want to say he pushed it wide right. He missed the field goal. The Giants win the Super Bowl. The Giants are ecstatic and they're celebrating. And then the Buffalo Bills are, they're torn. They missed the field goal, right? And they go to the Super Bowl the next 3 years and they lose. But that first one, I know it had to hurt, right? I know it had to hurt. And I went back and I looked at, try to find interviews to see how did he respond to this failure, right? The whole world is watching, not just America, but the whole world is watching. You miss his field goal. If he makes it, you become a champion and he's hailed. But now it's like, if you ask anybody, or if you type in Scott Norwood on Google, I'm not sure what comes up, but you're going to see that missed field goal. And it's come to kind of like represent him as a person, right? But as we know, failure is a part of life. So Beth said she cried like a baby. I'm sure, and when you look back at it, I don't think he's a failure. When I look back at it, you're playing sports. It's a competitive game, right? Anybody can win, anybody can lose, but you're not defined by one play, and those of us who are living our lives, you'll make mistakes here and there, left and right. Things will work. You'll take your L's, you'll take your W's, but you're going to lose at certain, and rejection when dating. Barbara, we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about the rejection when dating. That's like the next thing I'm getting to, right? But when you make such a big mistake on such a big stage, I think he was even getting death threats, and people were like, it was hard for him to be just who he was, But now this year is 2022. If you look at the Buffalo Bills from the 90s, there's a couple of Hall of Famers. The quarterback is a Hall of Famer. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed. Those guys are Hall of Famers. They are among the best to ever do it at their position, but they never won the ultimate championship, right? So they still were able to be recognized. And I hope that those guys are proud of themselves. And I give you all this example because sometimes you're going to fall flat in front of a lot of people, and it's going to be very embarrassing, and depending on any type of pre-existing mental health conditions you may have, you might feel like it's destroying you, like you feel shattered, you feel naked, like people can see through you, people can see your failures. So it's tough to fail, right? To fail in front of people is quite hard, but to do it on that massive stage, I think it's quite difficult. So, looking back and when I went and did my research, I look back at that team, that went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and I can say they were actually a success, and I want us to reframe how we think about failure, because it's like you get celebrated nowadays for success, right? Social media, people care about the winners, right? They care about what your Instagram is looking like, who is popping, who's doing this, who's doing that, right? Not knowing that those people are failing behind the scenes. And failure is inevitable, right? You're going to fail. All 234 people watching right now, and then the 1,000 people who watch the playback, you're going to fail at something, right? It might not be football, or it might not be, I'm not sure what it is, but you're going to fail at something. And I'm looking here at the comments. It might be a career, it might be a relationship. You might feel like you're failing as a parent, not saying you are, but you might feel like you're not adequate, or you're not doing what you need to do. But I want you all to know that those things will happen, but you can't let it define who you are as an individual. I think it's very important to recognize that, because once you understand that, like, I failed, right? I missed a field goal and let my city down, right? I didn't get the job done and my company lost a couple thousands of dollars. I couldn't make it to my son's baseball game. I failed at this relationship for the the third time in a row, right? Or this is the fifth talking stage where you messed up, right? You're gonna fail at things, but when you realize that that failure doesn't define you, you can get to a point where you use a little bit of cognitive reframing. You can get dangerous, right? You can still have ADHD, depression, anxiety, OCD, borderline, bipolar, whatever. But once you understand that failure doesn't represent who you are, then we're rolling. We can get super dangerous, and we can start to make progress towards our goals, because we know that, okay, I failed and it's going to happen again, but this does not define who I am as a person. And that's what a lot of my work is aimed at, trying to get people to understand. Because if you fail at something, right, or when you fail, let me say when, because it's going to happen, right? And I take L's every day, and I pray to God that they're going to be like micro L's, like small L's, so that way I don't take like big L's, right? When you fail, if your mindset is in the right place, right, and you've done the work on yourself, and we're taking care of our mental health. I know we are, right, because you're watching my videos, right, and you've got to go get a therapist or a doctor in your area, right. So you all are doing that, right? So as you fail, once you realize that, okay, failures happen, it doesn't define who I am as an individual. And then the second thing is not worrying about people's opinions. I think we need a whole show on not worrying about people's opinions, right? Because when you're not concerned about what people say about you, then you're living your most authentic life. You're not worried about the fact that somebody's judging you because you take a medication, right? People will really shame you for anything. People will shame you for failing a test. People will shame you for having to take medications. People will shame you for going to a therapist. People will shame people, and not that those folks are evil. Maybe they're just not evolved on their journey. Maybe they don't know any better. But either way, it's coming out as them saying, "Oh, you need meds to like work. You can't focus without medications, or like you need medications to be in this relationship. Like, am I making you depressed, right? Or sometimes in a toxic household, we use that term a lot. Toxic household, maybe a parent who doesn't understand what their kid is going through might say, "Oh, so you need to talk to somebody outside of me. Am I not enough for you?" They don't know, right? So that's why Dr. Kojo has to make these videos and make them funny and entertaining, and spin it in a way that we can throw it back to them and say, "Okay, this is what's going on," right? But we know better, right? Because we're watching this stream and we're watching the videos and we're subscribed to the page. We know that people's opinions of us, doesn't define who we are as individuals, right? So as we go through failure and heartbreak and rejection, you have to be in that mindset where you can tell yourself that these things will happen, but it doesn't define who I am as a person. So that was my, little mini rant, but I definitely wanted to say that because I do read, or I make an intentional effort to read a lot of you all's comments. DMs come in, so I cannot keep up with the DMs, y'all. I'll just let y'all know. It's just so many. Even my assistant couldn't keep up with it. But I try my best to read you all's comments to see what's going on in you all's lives. Now I'm using Southern slang. That's not even real words, but I try and keep like, an ear to the streets and figure out what's going on in you all's lives. And I'm seeing you all saying that, "Oh, this happened, or my son is struggling with this, or my daughter, or I'm struggling with this," right? And some people have to repeat a grade. Some people have to, some people lose jobs, right? And these things might be embarrassing, but this stream is to let you all know that okay, we're gonna fail, we're gonna make mistakes, and not that I want like everybody to fail, right? I want y'all to win. I want y'all to take wins all around. But as you fail, you take the lesson out of it, and then we do our best to get like 10% better each and every day. We build on it. We build on it. We build on it, and then the world might look at you as a failure, right? And say, oh, so and so, they got fired from their job because they were late. You know, they just don't care about it, right? And you might have ADHD, and you might struggle with punctuality, and the world will tell you, oh, you're a failure, right? But you know deep down inside that no, I'm not a failure. I have to get a couple of things in order, but I'm not a failure, and I know who I am. So I have enough energy and confidence to go on and do the next thing. And what if you succeed at the next thing, right? Like you might go to the next thing and then it clicks for you, right? Or even myself. Like let me just use me as an example. Let's say I don't know. Let's say I listened to my biology teacher who was like, "Oh, you're not cut out for college. You're just not good at sciences, right?" What if I listened to him and I took that to heart and I said, "You know what? I don't think I should go to college because I don't think I'm cut out for college, right?" What if I never went to college and then we wouldn't have this brand, right? I would, my life would be different, all because I listened to one man's arbitrary opinion of me, and he was dead wrong, But it's about me proving myself right, not trying to prove him wrong, right? So you want to keep those things in mind, So I got so much to talk. I got so much to say about this topic. When it comes to failure, rejection, and ADHD, and sports and dating, I could go on and on. But I do want to get to you all's comments, because I need to, like I said, I gotta keep my ear to the streets. I need to see what's going on. I need to see what's going on. But I do my job. Yeah, Josh, I believe that, and I would hope that you would keep that job. Punctuality, I have such trouble with that at work. Jeffrey, and there's no shame in admitting that you have a problem, right? And there's no shame in, let's say you got to work 37 minutes late today, right? Now we want to cut it down to maybe, give yourself maybe like a 10-minute grace period, 5-minute grace period. But we want to get a little bit better each and every day, right? To the point where it becomes a habit to show up to work 5 minutes early, right? Let me see. Chrissy, I've been ADHD since 18, been on treated since then. With the medication change the person I am, I'm usually bubbly and social. Would it make me calm and quiet? Just a fear. Good question, Chrissy. Meds affect people differently, and they work to help allow you to have more of certain neurotransmitters in the brain, which should help with executive functioning, right? Things like norepinephrine and dopamine should help with, motivation to get certain things done. And I don't believe that they've changed people's personalities, but sometimes people will say that they feel like a zombie, or they feel like they're overly talkative until the meds wear off, right? So they affect people differently. The best I can say is if you feel like there's a version of you that, if you feel like there's a potentially higher version of yourself, I would definitely, look to see if you can find a provider in your area and go back and explore some of those options, Good, good question though. Really good question. Jeffrey, my man, Jeffrey, what's good? Let that Southern slang flow. Sounds like home. Yeah, I'm in LA, but I'm my heart. I'm still from the South. So it's a lot of yes, ma'ams and y'alls, and that's just how I talk. So I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you. Every time I face rejection, I go back to my parents rejecting me all over again, so it feels extra worse. Nico, I'm sorry to hear this, and obviously, I hope things get better in your situation. But having a safe space where you're accepted, regardless, that'll go a long way. And even for me, right? My support system is very supportive, right? I don't allow any negativity at all. If somebody makes one negative comment, I'll give them a look like, and that's your warning, right? Now, people should still. I don't want people to be like, "Oh, Kojo's doing this, so I can't tell him anything." Like my youngest brother, who's 16, can say, "Hey, Kojo, this video that you posted, maybe people can take it out of context. Maybe delete that video and like repost it with a better caption." And I'll listen to him, right? But for people to be judgmental of like you, or not give you a safe space to like fail, I'm not saying that your parents, like I don't know your parents, Nico, but I'm just saying that you might want to start bringing some people in your ecosystem who will allow you to fail. Right? Everybody needs a safe space to fail. Some people shame others because they're ashamed of themselves. Yeah. Is this Shauna or Sienna? I'm a guess Sienna, but either way, nice name. But I agree. Sometimes you never know what somebody's going through for them to try and shame you. But it's about extending grace to them and saying like that's what I'll do. People will leave. I mean, people leave some wild comments on my videos, some slurs, and I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I block them, and then I just like I'm like, all right. I hope whatever they're going through, they find some peace. Whitney, are you taking any new patients? Whitney, I'm not. I'm not taking any new patients. A part of me, a big part of me, wishes that I was, but it's becoming much more difficult to do what I'm doing on the social media side of things with entertainment and stuff in LA, and then also do the patient thing. And whenever I see patients, in my opinion, right, I feel like I'm the best at what I do. Not because I have the best education. I just feel like I'm going to go harder for my patients. I'm going to put in like extra time. If I don't know something, I'm going to call one of my psychiatry OGs and ask, "Oh, for a pregnant patient, go what medication would I feel like I'm going to go the hardest for my patients. So I can't half-ass that. So it's becoming increasingly hard to see patients. So I'm not to answer your question. Part of me wishes that I was though. Alicia, I like this. Reflection plus action plan is an L changing to a W. Alicia, I really like that. I like that. Mary, and I'm gonna go get some new comments in a second. I want to go back and get some of these. I failed at everything in my life. I'm not sure how to stop trying, and I'm always optimistic when I start. I just have never been successful at anything. Seriously, the list is long. But all right, so Mary, have you tried everything? Have you haven't tried, skateboarding and basketball and public speak? Like there's things that you haven't tried. And maybe you just have to, find your niche or your thing. But as long as you don't stop trying, Mary, I think you're gonna do good. I think you'll be fine. Just don't stop trying. Keep you're not to mix and match it, right? But James, I appreciate that. You really have to think about what I need. My only realistic option for digital. Do you have any advice to help make that work better? James, I think a lot of providers who are seeing patients now are doing it via telehealth. So let's say you go to psychology today and you look for people in your area, they'll let you know if they're doing it via like virtual or in person. But I mean, this is what I would tell my family member, right? I'm not gonna tell y'all something different than what I would tell a family member of mine. You're looking for a provider, somebody to help you with diagnosis or ADHD or whatever the case is. I would go to psychology today, look up providers in your area by the zip code. If you find the person, let's say James is a doctor, right? And I see Dr. James Elliott. I'm like, okay, cool. I think he could be cool. I'll Google him. I'll run a Google search. I'll try and find a little bit more about this provider, and if I feel comfortable, I'll make the appointment. Like that's what I would tell a family member. So I wouldn't tell y'all anything different. Stephanie has a good question right here. Do you have any suggestion to boost your self-esteem? I have really low self-esteem. Stephanie, I thought you'd never ask. So here's my thing. I think I spoke about this, was it yesterday or either way. With self-esteem, it's a very shaky thing. You can be very confident and you can have a rough 3 days and your confidence could be like on the rocks, right? So you want to make sure that like self-esteem is like a daily type of thing. Every day you're doing work on your self-esteem, making sure you like yourself, you love yourself, you appreciate yourself, right? Who do you hang out with? What are they saying about you? Are they saying that are they like making backhanded compliments? Are they trying to take you down? Is this somebody who cares about you? So changing your environment is something that we can do. And also doing things that you are good at, right? And doing things and completing it all the way through, that's helpful for your self-esteem. Even for me, like doing this live show 4 times a week, it does wonders for my self-esteem because I said I was going to come live 4 times a week. And I told y'all that. So if I do that, I'm like, all right, I'm doing what I said I'm going to do. That feels good. If I don't do it, I'm like, here we go again. I can't see nothing through. I'm inconsistent. I'm late to everything. So you have to really, believe that you can do it, and start small. The small things can help to boost your self-esteem. Um, Marie, thank you for everything that you post. This has to be one of the first times in my life that I feel seen it. Like I'm not Marie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And that's why I'm. That's the whole goal of this, right? So clearly, I feel like I've reached my target audience. So thank you, Dustin. Keep doing 4 times a shoot. Dustin, yeah, no, I thought about that. Um, or even I thought about doing more than 4 streams a week. I thought about maybe even hopping on in the morning because there might be a different audience in the morning, right? And then I can't call it late night with Dr. Kojo, but we can call it like a bonus segment because I like coming on here. I like to talk. I like to run my mouth. So if y'all want to hear me, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Let me get this question and I'll go back up. So what happens when you stop enjoying the things that make you happy? What options do I have? So Chris, I don't know. All right, so let me not make this about you, but this about somebody in general. It could be a lot of reasons why somebody could stop doing the things that they don't like doing, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is depression. I'm not saying that you're depressed, but depression. Sometimes just being busy or overwhelmed or burnt out. Uh, the pandemic, right, can put you in a space where you're just not doing the things that you used to enjoy doing, or it doesn't bring you that enjoyment anymore. But when it comes to what options do I have, at least what are you curious about? Like what piques your curiosity and keeps you engaged, right? You might not know. You might have to like do a whole 180 and start trying new things, but then you have to have the energy and the motivation to want to do that. So putting yourself out there, and maybe it's failure. Maybe you failed at certain things, and I'm not sure what's going on, but at least being like a little curious about certain things can help you go a long way. Sienna, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. What's the first step to getting out of your lowest low? I know everything that I need to do, but it all seems like too much and scary. I don't know to start. So I would tell you to start with the simplest thing possible, right? And that could be making your bed, brushing your teeth, taking the dog out. And it almost sounds like it almost sounds insulting a little bit. Like I mean, it doesn't for me because like I'm a professional, I get it. But the average person who doesn't understand how like mental health works, if I tell somebody, I'm like, oh, just brush your teeth and make your bed, and then I think that's a good start. They'll be like, am I a kid? I'm not a kid. Like I don't need help with that. But if you look at kids with a good support system tend to do well because they have somebody who's making sure that they wake up on time for school. Make sure you go shower. Make sure you brush your teeth. Make sure that you eat breakfast. Like your mom or like a grandma or somebody or auntie, like people are staying on you to do those things. As an adult, you may not have to do all that if you're on your own, right? So doing the smallest thing possible, like get 10% better every single day or every single week. But I think the direction is more important than speed. You don't have to get there fast, but at least be on the right like path. Good question. Good question. I felt that a lot of things in life. I wasn't. It wasn't a. I can't read today. It wasn't until I was 28 and tested that I started getting accommodations along with a good support system that I started to succeed. So, and Kimberly, I'm happy that you mentioned this. I'm not sure what you got accommodations for, but at least specifically for something like ADHD, a lot of times if you keep failing at something over and over and over again, it can be hard. You speaking about ADHD specifically, it's hard to just like will yourself to do better, right? People say, "Oh, you're lazy," or like you can't focus. Like, and they'll say, "Oh, just focus, just focus." Cut off the music, turn off the TV, just focus, right? It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you might need accommodations, because that's how ADHD works. That's how, when your brain is not wired the same way as other people's brains, right? Or a neurotypical person's brain, you may need those accommodations, whether it's medications or, somebody to help you exercise or an accountability partner. But sometimes it can be hard to just like will yourself to start doing things, right? So sometimes the failures can tell you something about yourself. And for a lot of people who get diagnosed later in life, it'll be like some event, some failure, anywhere from like a small failure to like a catastrophic type of failure that will make you, it'll make you reach your breaking point. And at that point, you're like, all right, I gotta go see a professional because I just failed at this, or I lost all this money because I didn't take care of this. And then you go and then maybe they diagnose you with ADHD or something like that, and then you get the proper help. Ashley, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had a running joke, a TikTok. People like, how you look so good? I said my parents had sex at the right time. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I already read that one before. Um, Tara Porter, I enjoy your video so much. You've highlighted some things I thought were just negative aspects of myself. It's allowed me to alter my internal monologue. I have stopped the negative self-talk about some things. Thank you. So, Tara, I have to give you the first love of the show. I'm happy that you said that, because the negative self-talk, sometimes you say these things to yourself over and over, and you start to believe it. You really start to believe that you're unworthy, I'm lazy, nobody wants me, or whatever the negative thought is. So challenging it with positive things is a great way to handle the situation. So I'm proud of you, Tara. Keep going. Brett, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Brett. Thank you. Let me get back to some of these comments. Yeah, small steps. Kimberly, small steps is how you do things. And for this is for anybody, right? But especially after a failure, or if you're at like a low, right? Or if you're just going through it and you want to get back on track, do anything. Now, not anything, right? Don't go rob a bank, but you get the point. Do anything. Do something small, like get up, maybe cut the grass, anything that can help boost your self-esteem. Wake up in the morning, do some jumping jacks, do some push-ups, take the dog out, get the trash out, anything that you can be proud of, right? I believe in action. You gotta move and do something, right? And as you do those things, you don't realize it, but you started your day, you start to do certain things. You put one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, you're doing things, right? And I'm not a big fan of waiting for the perfect moment or anything like that. Like, you just have to do, right? And even with this live show in this format, like, I just did it. I talked to, a couple of friends. I talked to my assistant. I talked to my publicist, and we figured out, like, okay, let's try this. I think it's cool. I think we can go live on Facebook. I think people want to hear what you have to say. Let's just give it a shot. And it's been working, right? And as we keep doing the show, it's gonna get nicer, right? We're gonna have guests on. We're gonna, have people, doing their thing. People who are entertainers. I want people to come and maybe perform on here. Like, I want to make the show something that's exciting and fun, right? But I can't wait until it becomes. I can't wait. I gotta turn it. I have to create what I want, I believe. So, like, I've thought about different things and backgrounds, and maybe I'll switch it up here, or maybe I'll use like the spare room. Like, I've thought about ways to spice up the show. But you have to do first, and then over time, because I wouldn't call certain aspects of this show a failure, but there's certain things that I want to do better, right? We had a discussion the other day about open relationships, right? And mental health. And there are a lot of terms in there that made my head spin. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, because there's so many different forms of alternative relationships that are out there. I don't know them all. Yeah, I'm a board certified professional, but I don't know them all. So I'm like, all right, let me go do some more work on polyamory, or polygamous. Let me go back and educate myself, or let me find the OG who knows about this and let me learn, right? So there's always like room to improve, right? You just can't wait for the thing. Like, go ahead and start to put things in motion. Put things in motion. Vanessa says she'll sing a worship song. All right, Vanessa, we might have you on to sing a song. Don't say you're gonna sing a song and then I click you and then you're shy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Um, Mindfulness, Janice, yeah. It's difficult to change the inner dialogue. I was told to imagine that I'm saying them to my best friend. Immediately, I see how cruel and untrue those words are. I still struggle with it though. Yeah, Janice, I'm first of all, thank you for saying that. I want to give you the love of the show for your transparency. So it cracks me up whenever I do that. But no, it can be tough to, especially if you take, let's say you have a week where you fail at things over and over, right? It's gonna be hard to, not say negative things about yourself, right? You might be hard on yourself. Whereas it's hard to do that to another person. So it takes work every single day, and you're mindful of it, and you're doing the small things to put yourself in a better position. So you have to give yourself some credit, Janice. Give yourself some credit. Um, Realize most people don't understand the ADHD brain. Celebrate each step forward. I also make a game out of the task. Brittany, I do the same, Brittany. So I gotta give you a love of the show as well. Yeah, I do that, and even when I go to my barber, who's got a haircut today, check out the cut. It's fresh. It's fresh. Thank you. Thank you. But going to the barber today, I showed up 5 minutes late. Right, the first time that I started this ADHD challenge, I showed up 20 minutes late. So I said, you know what? I'm going to pay him an extra dollar for every minute that I'm late. Right. So first time, 20 minutes late, and that's like a small failure. Right. Now I don't want to lose $20. Right. Losing $20 is not fun, but $20 is enough money to me to where I'm like, all right, I don't want to lose $20. I don't want to lose an extra $20 every time I get my hair cut, because $20, that's like lunch, I don't want to lose up $20 over being late. So I said, all right, I'm gonna turn into like an ADHD game where for every minute that I'm late to the barber shop, I'm gonna, pay him an extra dollar, right? And I don't do this for everywhere that I'm late. I just started off for the barber shop. I just started off small, so that way if I fail right there, right, it's a small failure, right? And I'm not gonna say I'll pay him $100 for every minute that I'm late. I don't have that kind of money, right? So we just do a dollar. We keep it small. We keep it pushing. The second time I showed up 3 minutes early, so I did good. Today I showed up 5 minutes late. I was slightly late, but I said, all right, I pay a $5 penalty. I made it like a fun game for myself. Once again, losing $5 is not fun, right? But being accountable that feels good. It feels good to me, you know. Let me see. Ansley, this is not stupid at all. This is not a stupid question. Um, it's not on today's topic, but I need to answer this question because I just need to answer the question. How does one start a conversation about possible ADHD? I think you go in there and you talk to your doctor and let them know. If you want to say, I think I have ADHD, that's fine. However you want to say it is fine. But I would go in there and let them know I've been struggling with this, and that, and my whole life. Like let them know, like the way you all might like use my comment section, right? To like, tell like parts of your life story or say, oh, I've always struggled with this, or I used to lose money because I couldn't pay the ticket on time. I used to like always be fired from jobs, like whatever y'all put in the comment section, like tell your doctor that, right? Because they're the ones who can make the call for you. And keep in mind that ADHD is a clinical diagnosis, so there's no lab test that diagnoses it. There's no special weird test. Uh, a professional asks you questions, and they use a questionnaire too, but they'll ask you a series of questions, and they're going to match it up with the criteria in the DSM-5, and then they'll come up with a diagnosis and say, oh, you have this, and this is a treatment. So that's how it works. And I just thought of this lately. I'm gonna have a video where I put this out, right? And I'm gonna put it out like in a reel, a 30-second reel, or maybe like a longer video, right? Because maybe 30 seconds to a minute might not be enough. So I might put it out in like maybe like a 2-minute skit on Facebook where I talk about how to start a conversation with your doctor about possible ADHD, right? Because somebody can see that and you can be like, oh, it's like a little funny skit. But then like we're gonna drop like actual things that you should say, not things that you should say to get a diagnosis, but I'm gonna give you a blueprint on how to express your feelings, right? Because whatever I put in the skit, that might not be how you feel, right? you feel the way you feel, but it's about empowering you to have more awareness of what's going on so that you can relay that verbally to the person who can do the things that are needed to put you in a position to win, right? Whether it's meds or therapy or whatever the case is, right? But you have to get to that person first. But once you're in front of the doctor, you got to know what to say. And I got y'all on that. I got y'all. I got y'all for sure. Finnegan, I'm poly and involved in other types of untraditional relationships. Any therapist I've seen has tried to fix this part of how I view relationships. They try to diagnose why I love multiple people. Finding a therapist who doesn't judge polyamory and alternative relationship styles has been a struggle. It's why I'm not in therapy right now. It sucks. Finnegan, I'm sorry to hear that that was your experience. I want to apologize on behalf of like your therapist. On behalf of the mental health field, that's not who we are, and it's just about wanting to know. Because look, Finnegan, I'm not gonna lie to you and act like I know about this topic that much because I don't. I'm just not gonna lie to you, but I'm interested in learning about why you love multiple people and what that does for you. I'm not saying that no, I'm your therapist, but if I were your therapist, I'll just listen to you, and you need a safe space to talk, right? So if you want to love multiple people and they all know, and that I think that's awesome. I think it's fantastic. I'm happy for you, So I'm sorry that you're not in therapy right now. It does suck. And finding a good therapist uh, is like a or looking for a therapist is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? You just don't know. You can get the best therapist of all time, and you can get a shitty therapist. Like you never know. But I'm sorry that this is your experience. And at the very least, you should have had a safe space to to talk about how you feel. So, but I think it's good for us to educate ourselves on this. I was reading something about ethical non-monogamy the other day. So I'm learning. I'm learning, and I'm gonna find ways for people to school me to the game. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn. Finding a therapist, Sam, it is. Finding a therapist is just like dating. So like I would say, keep your investment low in the beginning. Like you shouldn't be going on like $1,000. Ooh, my voice cracked. You shouldn't be going on $1,000 first dates, right? Or I mean, you can if you want, right? But keep your investment low, and over time, figure out who you're dating. Same way with a therapist, right? Figure out, how they view the world and what they can offer you, before you get so invested into it. Um, oh my gosh, Michelle. This is funny. It's not funny, but it's like, and it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh, but I feel that the reason why I'm laughing is because I feel that way myself when I'm looking for a good doctor, right? Or if I'm trying to find a doctor for my family members and loved ones. This is how I feel. Finding a good doctor in general is like climbing a mountain with no tools. Yeah, because it's not until like I have a cousin or a loved one who's looking for like a doctor, and then like I'm on the phone with them and I'm trying to help them out, and then they're like, "Oh dang, this person not accepting patients. That person isn't accepting patients, or this person is booked until then." And then I'm like, "Damn, like it is hard to find a good doctor, right?" I'm like, the people on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook weren't lying. So I feel you on this, and hopefully I can be a part of the solution. I wish there's a way to like collab, and I would love to collaborate with different doctors and therapists and counselors and social workers and nurse practitioners and PAs. Maybe I can find a way to collab with them to put their services out there. I don't know how that would work, but I'm open to doing that. I'm open to doing that. Um, Let me see. I've learned so much. Hey, Denise, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's the goal of this channel. That's the goal of this channel. I'm gonna go back to some of these. Um, Let me see. Some of these comments. And look, this could work too. That Finnegan, this could work. You could go up to a provider and say, "Hey, I feel like I've been struggling with inattention or whatever. I'd like to be tested for X, Y, and Z." Or you can say, "I'd like to be tested for, you know, bipolar disorder, it runs my family, and sometimes I think I get manic, or where the case is, right? You could let your provider know that, and I go based off of what somebody would tell me. If somebody came to tell me that, I wouldn't be like, oh, they just want meds. I'm like, okay, all right, let's talk about it. If they meet the criteria, they meet it. If they don't meet it, they don't meet it. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Good question right here from Taylor. Taylor, no noticeable answer for this, but I think that a lot of healthcare professionals themselves don't really understand ADHD, and you might be hesitant to diagnose people with it, knowing that the treatment for it, right, the first line treatment, which are stimulants, those are meds that are frequently abused and things like that. So sometimes people might be a little bit afraid of that, right? So potentially that could be why. I'm not sure if I know the exact answer, but could be why. Yeah, could be why. Let me see. Brittany, but my teenage son who has an ADHD diagnosis. It's one thing getting validation from mom, but your videos have given him relatable information that he's not alone in his struggles. It's helped us talk. Brittany, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to me, and sometimes I get caught up in doing my dance. Actually, y'all want to see the dance? Doing my little dance, and then like as I'm making the videos, like I tell myself, I'm like, how do like why do companies and brand deals pay me to work with them? I'm like, I'm just doing like a little dance, but like I'm realizing that like the information that is put along with the dance is helping to start certain conversations and is making a difference. So I feel so blessed that I'm able to be a part of of you all's family, and help things out with you and your son. So it means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me that I get to do that for people. So I'm just eternally grateful, really to God for the opportunity to do things like this. So thank you so much. Ooh, good question right here, Tanaya. Good question right here. You know what? This is not on the topic, but I do want to address it because, and I'll be working to say it on task. But bipolar two, I think the reason why people get bipolar two and ADHD kind of mixed up is because with bipolar two you have the hypomania, right? And it's not quite like the full blown mania, right? So sometimes you might not land in a psych hospital being hypomanic because you're not full blown manic, and even if you're fully manic, sometimes not everybody who is like fully manic goes to a psychiatric facility, right? But the hypomania in bipolar 2, I think people get that, confused with like the impulsivity in ADHD, right? So, you can be impulsive in within the context of a mood disorder like bipolar, right? Bipolar 1 or 2. But you're not bipolar unless you have at least a hypomanic or a manic episode, right? And in ADHD, you don't have either one. You're not manic and you're not hypomanic, right? Unless you're somebody who has ADHD and bipolar disorder, right? And then that's different because you have them both, right? But if it's just one or the other with ADHD, there's no mania in there, right? So mania, going days without sleep, pressured speech, decision making that is not like well thought out, that could have potentially painful consequences, you know, potentially being erratic. Sometimes within the context of a MAC episode, you may have delusions, hallucinations. You can have psychosis within the context of bipolar disorder. I normally see it with bipolar 1, but with bipolar 2, the hypomania. I think because I asked myself, because I know the answer to this question, right? Bipolar 2 and ADHD are two different things, right? ADHD is no mania or hypomania. But I think people get the hypomania with bipolar 2 mixed up with the impulsivity in ADHD. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure, but I hope that answers your question. Good question though, really good question. And I know it's a good question because I get this question on every platform. I get it on Facebook, I get it on YouTube, I get it on IG, I get it on TikTok. So if everybody's asking this question, I should probably make a video on this specific thing right here. I think it can help to bring a lot of value to people? Good question, Tanaya. Ooh, speaking of Blake, I clicked at the right time because doctors thought I was bipolar 2 and I was just re-diagnosed with untreated ADHD. All right, so Blake, let me make this point here. Your doctor or your therapist or your nurse practitioner or your provider, as healthcare professionals, we can be wrong, right? I'm sure that I've been wrong before in my career, right? I feel like I'm very good at what I do, but we can be wrong. We can miss a diagnosis, right? Or we can diagnose somebody with depression and maybe they really had bipolar disorder, but we never saw like the mania, right? So we can make mistakes all the time. And there's nothing wrong with like going back to your provider and saying, hey, I'm not you diagnosed me with X and I think it's really Z. I don't think I really have this condition. I did some more research on my own and I'm talking to people. Can you please reassess me for X, Y, and Z? And then your provider might reassess and say, oh, you know what? I got some more information now. I actually think that this is going on, right? A good provider, in my opinion, would say, oh, you know what? Let's reverse course. I don't think we had the right diagnosis, so let's shift. And I've had to do as many times where I got it wrong, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's this. I think it's this now, right? So sometimes you have to check your ego at the door because it's I think we feel threatened, right, as healthcare professionals, because we're like, oh, we went to school for this, we sacrificed our 20s for this, and now somebody's gonna go on TikTok or Facebook and they're gonna watch a couple of videos, and now you think that you can do my job. So sometimes it's an ego thing. You can see a lot of providers who have egos, and they're like, no, you're not gonna go watch WebMD and come and tell me how to do my job. But that's when we have to check ourselves, right? Because we can miss things. And even though we went to school for, blah, 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 we can still be wrong. So I think your doctor could be wrong. Your healthcare providers could be wrong. And once again, it's just extend that grace. And then once they realize that they're wrong, you make the right diagnosis and then, we reverse course and we try and go in the right direction, you know? Laura, all right, okay, so tough question here. You say, is it normal? I don't know what normal means, I want to answer your question to the best of my ability, but you could have, let's just say you have a psychiatrist who specializes in thought disorders, right, and schizophrenia. Maybe they're not comfortable making an ADHD diagnosis, right? And the test for ADHD is just asking questions and questionnaires, but they might not feel comfortable making that diagnosis. So if they tell you that they don't do it, that might be their way of saying that they're not comfortable. And if you're not comfortable taking on somebody and helping them out, and you refer them to somebody else, I would say that's the responsible thing to do. Maybe they're just not comfortable making that diagnosis. Yes, Sharon, Sharon, this is all hard. This is difficult. I remember being in school, like, I was working on the weekends. I worked the double shifts at one side of the hospital, and then after that, I would go, splash some water on my face, and then put some lotion on. Once I put the Jergens lotion on, it makes me look like I'm awake, right? And I'll do all this, and I'll snap into it, and I'll get to the other side of the hospital, and I'll have to see patients in the morning. So that when the psychiatrist came in, we could talk over the case studies and the patients, and then I would ask, I'd be like, doctor, so and so, can you tell me what's the difference between this or that? What's neuroleptic malignant syndrome? Like, what's all these things? So it was hard for me to learn all this. Like, it was hard. So, being able to try and educate with funny videos online, I think it's pretty cool that I get to do that. And some of it is oversimplification in a sense, but it's just meant to like help to teach y'all something, right? Or at least give you enough awareness to go advocate for yourself when you go to the doctor's office, right? But that's the point of everything. That's the point. Blake, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I'm happy you found the right doctor. I'm happy you found the right doctor. It makes a big difference, right? When I first started, not when I first started, but when my ADHD content started to go viral for the first time, I had a video where I said the right treatment is life changing. And I stand by that statement. You get the right treatment, changes your life, right? Maybe you still might fail at things and have to deal with the emotions that come with it. You still might be late to certain things. You still might run out of time. You still might have issues switching jobs at work, but you feel more in control of your life, right? Or the symptoms might remit a little bit, right? If you get the proper help, therapy, meds, things like that. So I'm happy that you got the right help, Blake. And you clicked at the right time, Blake. You clicked at the right time. Sometimes timing is so funny, because I had been streaming for, now we've been going live for an hour, but I've been streaming for like maybe 54 minutes, and then you happen to click at the right time. So the timing is a funny thing. Timing is a funny thing. Beth, yeah, Beth, this is my niche. This online social media type of thing. I appreciate that. Thomas, hey man, much respect. I love what you do and seeing your videos every day helps me out. Keep going. You're changing people's lives. I love you. Thomas, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the attention. And yeah, if I didn't feel like I was making a difference, I wouldn't come on this live stream every day, 4 days out the week. Like I'd probably be playing Madden or I don't know, something else. But I feel like we're getting to something here. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you, thank you. Let me see. And let me touch on this right quick. Cody, yeah, the answer is I don't know, but the answer potentially is yes. And the right help does exist, right? Like for depending on what's going on, I think the first step to helping somebody getting back on track is you have to call out the problem, right? You diagnose the problem or you diagnose what's going on, if something's going on. And when you know what's going on, then you can move on and get to the solution. But I do want you to know that the right help does exist. You have to at least believe that, so that way you're still going and you don't want to like give up on finding the proper help. But it does exist. Uh, Dustin, yes, I play Madden, and I actually none of y'all are gonna beat me in Madden because I'm pretty good at it. I've been playing since I was like 7, and I know there's a way to because I was Twitch streaming at one point, but I don't know if I'm organized enough to figure all that out. But I would love to do like a stream where I play Madden on the PC, or maybe I'll hook it up to my PS5. I'll play Madden and I'll just take y'all and I'll just beat y'all one by one. And I'll beat all y'all one by one. Like I feel like I can beat not everybody because I used to play it more when I was growing up, and my skills have kind of got a little bit worse because I'm busier now. But I play Madden with the best of them. I'm pretty good at Madden. I'm really good. I think I'm good at Madden. I think I'm good at Madden. Nisi D, what's up? What's up? How you doing? Let's see. Thank you for what you do. I have ADHD. Beth, I'm happy I'm able to advocate for you. I appreciate you. Let me see. Michelle, Michelle, no, Michelle, you're not beating me in Madden. You're not. Nobody's beating me in Madden. I wish there's a way to like, and I know there's a way to do this. So like maybe broadcast my Madden game. I will really do that. I will really play, and I'm competitive too. I will really find a way to like broadcast me playing people in Madden. What's my PlayStation username? I don't get sidetracked, but I'll get my PS5 username and I'll put it out there. And then I don't know how to even. I'm not even that good with the PS5. I just go on to play the game. I don't know how to add people and all that stuff, but I have to play. Some of y'all just to show y'all that I'm good at Madden. Beth, I appreciate that, and that's the beauty of the internet, right? Not that it's misery loves company, right? But when you know that other people are struggling just like you, we realize that it's all part of the human experience, right? Somebody might have ADHD, somebody might not have any mental health, diagnosable mental health condition, but maybe they lost somebody, right? And then they can relate to other people who are going through grief, right? So it's all part of the human experience. Michelle, you won't score a point. No, no, not scoring a point on me. Twitch channel. Yeah, I have a Twitch channel. And I, my publicist has been telling me about Twitch. I have to learn a little bit about how to navigate Twitch. I got figure out how to navigate it. And Elon, I want to read this comment before I get out of here. After my husband stepped our past, I finally figured out I couldn't do it myself, only to find out it was much more than I had blocked out. Therapy is a beautiful thing. Yolanda, sorry for your loss. We're very sorry to hear that. And grief is difficult. It's extremely difficult to deal with. My heart goes out to you. And yeah, therapy is a beautiful thing. And once you realize that you can have that as an option, and that you don't have to do it all on your own, I think it's very liberating. But I'm saying a lot of love and light to you, Yolanda. And yeah, I'm definitely rooting for you. Just know that. And my Twitch name is the same thing. It should be Dr. Coda Sarfo. Oh, Leilani, Leilani, you're right. I can't get out here without a water break. So let's go ahead and do a water break because I got my water right next to me, right? So water from Kroger. I'm not a big fan of promoting brands on here, but y'all have already seen it, right? So water from Kroger. Y'all know how this thing works. It's Brett, I love that idea. I got distracted, but it's a good distraction. Different generations will open discussion about mental health. Ooh, we need that. I'd love to bring on like an OG, respectfully, on the on this show, right, to talk about it. And water break, yeah, water break or soda if you like, or I mean, whatever you're drinking, right? But water break, y'all should have had time to get your beverage of choice by now, right? So give y'all you got a second. Sharon, you know what I'm about to say, right? You know what I'm about to say, Sharon. Okay. All right. So looks like everybody has got their water now or their beverage of choice. Cheers. Oh, cheers, Sharon. I appreciate that. Thank you for not letting me get out of here without a water break. I like that. I appreciate that. That was dope. Not going upstairs. Katie, cheers, cheers. Yeah, whatever you can do. I'm not trying to make you all's life more complicated, but all right, y'all. All right, y'all. So that's the show for today. We hit the hour mark. I gotta go get a couple of videos out. Oh, and I got a meeting with my publicist, right? And then we head to Boston this weekend, to go hang out with friends. So I think this is my first vacation of the year. So that's gonna be exciting to check out Boston. I've never ever been to Massachusetts. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting for me. So hopefully, let's pray for a safe flight out to Boston. And yeah, that's gonna be exciting for me to check it out and go to Celtics game and some other stuff like that. So until Monday, I will see you all then. But take care and have a fantastic weekend. Peace.